Well, today we navigate through a series of global developments that challenge power structures, question alliances, and confront the very meaning of justice. From Washington, the policy, the decision, to the war-torn streets of Gaza and the silent suffering in southern Cameroon, we see from Elon Musk's economic outcry to a humanitarian voyage pushing past politics. These are not just stories, they are tests of the world's moral compass. In the world where politics often overshadows people, can we still recognize the lines between protecting national interest and preserving human dignity? Well, welcome to the Flash News. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. We'll begin with the highlight of today's Flash News. In a decision carrying significant humanitarian and political impact, we see the geopolitical weight as well as the United States government has granted a brief extension of temporary protected status to the nationals of Cameroon, citing the ongoing armed conflict and human rights concerns in the territory commonly known as Southern Cameroon. The extension announced by the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, allows eligible Cameroonians already residing in the United States to remain and work legally, while conditions back home remain too dangerous for safe return. Now, the decision affects thousands of Cameroonian nationals, many of whom fled violence, political persecutions, and a deteriorating humanitarian situation linked to the Southern Cameroon's war that erupted in 2016. The Southern Cameroon's crisis began when the colonial French-speaking government in Yaoundé violently cracked down on peaceful protests by the English-speaking minority, the Southern Cameroonians, demanding reforms and autonomy. Now, what followed was a deadly escalation into full-blown armed conflict, with armed movements seeking the restoration of the former British Southern Cameroon. Now, according to international human rights organizations, we see the conflict has led to the displacement of over 1 million people and widespread abuses by both government forces and freedom fighters, and the collapse of education, healthcare, and infrastructure in the affected areas. Well, despite occasional talks and international calls for dialogue, the root causes remain unresolved, and violence continues, particularly in the southern Cameroon's region. The United States extension of the TPS is not just a bureaucratic measure, it is a lifeline for Cameroonians who risk arrest, torture, and even death if deported. Now, it also signals continued international recognition of the seriousness of this conflict in the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. Now, even as some world powers have grown quieter on the issue. This indeed shows highlight on the escalating violence. Now, immigrant advocacy groups in the United States welcome the move but are urging the Trump administration to go further by granting a longer-term extension or even redesignation TPS to include more recent arrivals who fled worsening conditions after the original designation. Now, the brief nature of the extension means Cameroonian nationals may soon find themselves in limbo again unless further action is taken. Well, as the situation in southern Cameroon remains volatile, with no clear political resolution in sight, the United States may face increasing pressure to adopt a more permanent protection policy, or even play a stronger diplomatic role in resolving the ongoing war in the southern Cameroon. Where in a world where some crises are forgotten too soon, we wonder if this extension if it will help reignite global attention or Southern Cameroon's war, or will it fade quietly, like the cries of those still caught in the crossfire? While Southern Cameroons are enjoying the benefits of the United States consideration and are safe from the strict immigration rules, we cannot say the same for Venezuelans. Let's take a look at this video.
Sent back under a U.S. judge has ruled that deported Venezuelans can contest their rights. This decision pertains to hundreds of Venezuelans sent back under an old wartime law. The ruling mandates the Trump administration to aid these individuals in their legal battles. Judge Boasberg has given the administration 1 week to outline its facilitation plan. This ruling marks a significant step in the ongoing immigration debate in the U.S.
Well, in a powerful legal challenge to a centuries-old statute, a United States federal judge has ruled that Venezuelan immigrants deported to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 must be given the opportunity to challenge both their removal and detention. But then this decision raises deeper questions. Do these Venezuelans truly pose a threat to the United States? And more urgently, is El Salvador even a safe place to send them to? Well, the Alien Enemies Act, enacted in 1798, was designed during wartime to allow the president to detain or deport nationals of countries deemed hostile to the United States, with little need for individualized proof of wrongdoing. While originally intended for armed conflict with foreign powers like France, the law still exists and was invoked in this case to justify mass deportation. Critics say using such a sweeping and outdated law against vulnerable asylum seekers is a troubling overreach. Now facing deportation to El Salvador, a nation with a complicated security reputation, these Venezuelan migrants are caught in a geopolitical storm. Though El Salvador's homicide rates have plummeted following President Nayib Bukele's aggressive anti-gang crackdown, the country is far from risk-free. Thousands have been detained without due process, and human rights groups warn that the justice system is strained under the weight of mass arrests. For Venezuelans, many of whom have fled economic collapse, political repression, or violence, the dangers do not end at the United States borders. Being sent to a third country where they have no legal status, no community support, and potentially no protection. It raises grave humanitarian concerns. The judge's ruling sends a clear message. Even